Okay, to finish up with these simultaneous equations videos, solving them algebraically, I thought it would be good to look at a past paper question. Generally these come up every year. Last year, there's the one we'll go over, was a 6-mark question, so they are really important. I've just got it in the top right hand side of the screen there. Charlie is making costumes for a school show. One day he makes 2 cloaks and 3 dresses. The total amount of material he used was 9.6 meters. Write down an equation to illustrate this information. Okay, so sometimes you'll be asked to create the simultaneous equation. Okay, so he's made 2 cloaks and 3 dresses. But we're not going to write cloaks and dresses. We know algebra. We can use letters to represent objects or things. That makes our lives easier. So for 4a, we're going to let x be cloaks. And we are going to let y be dresses. You need to put that step in. If you don't, you won't get the marks. Okay, so he's made 2 cloaks and 3 dresses, so that's 2x plus 3y, and that is equal to, the total amount was 9.6 meters. 2x plus 3y equals 9.6. That's you done for part A. Part B, the following day, Charlie made 3 cloaks and 4 dresses. The total amount of material he used was 13.3 square meters. Write down an equation to illustrate this information. So he made 3 cloaks and 4 dresses. And the total material he used was 13.3 square meters. Okay, so that's us done A and B. Calculate the amount of material required to make 1 cloak and the amount of material required to make 1 dress. So essentially we just want to find out what x and what y is. This question could come up in a non-calculator or a calculator, so you need to be confident with working with decimals. Okay, so let's have a look at this. To start off with, I'm just going to make everything at the top a little bit smaller. Okay, so we've got 2x plus 3y equals 9.6, and we've got 3x plus 4y equals 13.3. I'm going to call this equation 1. I'm going to call this equation 2. I need to solve these algebraically. So let's have a look. What can we eliminate? We can't eliminate anything straight off because we don't have both 2x's or both 3y's. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and eliminate the y's. Okay, so the lowest thing that 3 and 4 both go into, the lowest thing that they both go into is 12. So I'm going to try and make these both to be 12y. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1 times 4, and I'm going to do 2, no I'm not, and I'm going to do 3 times 2. So I'm going to multiply everything in equation 1 by 4. So I will have 8x plus 12y equals 9.6 times 4. I'll do that at the side. Put my decimal point. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 9 is 36. Plus 2, 38. So that's 38.4. And then for equation 2, I'm multiplying everything by 3. So I'm going to have 9x plus 12y, and that equals 13.3 times 3. So I'm going to need to do that at the side again because I can't do that in my head. 13.3 times 3. Put my decimal point. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. So that equals 39.9. I'm going to call this equation 3. I'm going to call this equation 4. Okay, so I have now got y's as the same. So far, we have always added the equations together. But if we added the equations together, we would get 17x plus 24y, which is obviously not what we're looking for. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to need to subtract one of the equations from the other. If we did equation 3 subtract equation 4, we would have, the y's would cancel, but we would have minus 1x, and that's going to be a bit messy. So what we're going to do is we're going to do equation 4 subtract equation 3. We can do that, that is allowed. Okay, I'm going to do that on the next screen. Okay, so as we said, we're going to do equation 4 take away equation 3. So 9x take away 8x is x. The 12y take away 12y would cancel, and I just need to do 39.9 take away 38.4. I know you may feel confident with doing this in your head, but honestly, see if you just do it at the side, you're going to reduce your chances of making mistakes massively. So x equals 1.5. Okay, so what we're going to do now to find out the value of y is we're going to sub x equals 1.5 into equation 1, which was 2x plus 3y equals 9.6. So if x is 1.5, it's going to be 2 times 1.5 plus 3y equals 9.6. So that's 3 plus 3y equals 9.6. I can subtract 3 from both sides. I'm just going to carry on my working up here. I'm going to have 3y equals 6.6. If I divide both sides by 3, just solving the equations like we've been doing, so I'm going to get y equals 2.2. So what we have found is that x equals 1.5, y equals 2.2. But we're talking about the cost of a cloak and of a dress. So one cloak costs not 1.5 but £1.50, and one dress costs not 2.2 but £2.20. Remember, you can check your answer. See if you substitute these values back into equation 2, the equation should hold. Equation 2 is 3x plus 4y equals 13.3. So if I do 3 times 150, that would give me 450. If I added on 4 times 220, that would be 880. And if I added those two together, I would get 1330. Okay, so I have substituted these values into equation 2 just to check, and it is all worked out. Okay, so we have formed the equations from the context of the question, and then we've solved the equations simultaneously just like we've done so before. That is 6 marks in last year's exam, and you should be able to get that hopefully quite straightforward as long as you put in the practice.